Welcome back to the channel, and in this one we're just gonna do a quick video over doing this in Inventor. So I'm hoping that it don't take us too long, so I'm just gonna jump over to Inventor and get started, and the units that I will be using for this one will be millimeters. So I'm gonna click the new icon here, and that should bring up in the dialog box. You can see that I'm in the metric. I'm just gonna use the standard millimeter and then go ahead and hit create. Alright, now remember that isometrics are given to us in three different views. We have a front view, a top view, and a right side view. So what I like to do is that before I get started, I try to figure out what plane that I'm going to use in order to create my shape. So that's one of the first things I'm thinking about as this is loading up. Another thing while this is loading up, thank you for constantly watching some of these videos, and if this is your first time here, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'd love to have you, and if there's something that you would like to see me do or draw, or if I make a mistake on this one, please let me know down below in the comment. Alright, it looks like Inventor is ready for us, so I'm just going to go ahead and start a sketch, and then we're going to bring up those three planes that I was talking to you about. So what I mean by this is in reference to this view cube here. You can see I have the front, right, and top. I'm just going to go ahead and click on the XY plane, which is parallel to the front view, right? So I'm going to create this one starting here at the front view. What I do like about using Inventor as opposed to AutoCAD is that you have an option that you can just start free sketching this, and that's what I'm going to start doing. I'm just going to draw a line going straight down here, and then I'll go over this way, kind of come up. And you can see I'm trying to stay away from any of those O snaps or anything that is snapping now. You can see I do want this snapping, so therefore there's a line there. I'll come straight up to here, and then I'll go back to the original point here. The first thing I like to do is always figure out what's my longest dimension, right? So referring back to that drawing there, that dimension was 90. So I'm just going to click here, type in 90. And remember, your first dimension you put on is going to be your scale dimension. So you can see that it did indeed scale my whole shape up to fit this 90 on the inside of this. Let's go ahead and put a few more dimensions on here. So we have a dimension here. This is going to be at our 50. We're going to do a dimension here. That's at 10. And if I put another one here at 10, you can see that that should take care of everything I need there, and I just need one more dimension here, and it's going to be this line here, and this is going to be set back a distance of 40. Alright, so now I need two more dimensions, and remember that they're in reference to my center point here. So I'll go ahead and draw a line from this location to that center point. Go ahead and click here. Once it's asking me to input a dimension here, I'm just going to select my 90 divided by 2. And then I'll do this again. I'm just going to select this bottom line here along with this center line here. I'll go ahead and place that one on this side here. So once it's asking me for a number, go ahead and select your 50, divide that by 2, and hit enter. You can see that everything changed a different color, meaning that it is actually ready to go. Now, also on our drawing that we had, you can either choose to leave this completed or square it off in this sense, or I can go ahead and I can put that I'm trying to think what it is. It's actually a fillet that's going around it. So we got the option either doing that fillet now, or we can do it with some of the other commands. And I'm just going to save that for some of the other commands as we do this. All right, so we have our 50, we have our 90. Let's go ahead and finish this sketch. Zoom back a little bit. And then I'll go ahead and extrude this. And I'm going to send it both directions at a distance of 40. So I'm going to keep everything symmetric, and I'm going to choose this option here, and I'll just go ahead and tell Inventor that that distance is going to be 40. Alright, next let's go ahead and work on the top part of this, right? So I want to create a sketch on this top plane here, so I'm going to select it, and then I'll select this green, or this icon with the green plus on it. Now I always rotate mine, because you can see that it's showing that the top is standing up. I'll just hit this icon here to rotate it. Then I'll create a rectangle along here. Just throw some dimensions on here. So we'll do a dimension from this line here to this front. That is a distance of 40. We're going to throw a dimension from that line to this one. That's going to be a dimension of 10. Likewise, here on the bottom, it's going to be another dimension of 10. And then I have to give it the overall length of this, or the length from this line over, and I think I'll just keep it this way. So I'll do a dimension from that line to here, and let's just call it 10. Now, sometimes it's good practice to do this. That way, when I extrude this through, I don't have a little skin or anything. I'm just making sure that when this rectangle blows through, it blows through the whole entire thing. All right, so what I want to do next is I'm going to select this line here. I'm going to hold down my control button, and I'm going to select these other ones. Once I do that, I'll go ahead and tell it that I want all three of those lines to be construction, and then hit escape. You can see down here at the bottom right, it's fully constrained. Everything is done the way that I like it, because if I put this as a construction, Inventor only sees one profile. So let's go ahead and hit the finish sketch. And then when I hit extrude, it's going to automatically select that rectangle and say, hey, you're trying to cut that through there or do something to it. We're going to tell this that we're going to cut, and we're going to go through all, right? So that's this option here, and I told it to cut. It automatically picked up the direction for me. Let's go ahead and hit OK. All right, next thing we need to do is let's go ahead and put those fillets on my shape here. So I'm going to use the fillet command, which is located here. And I'm going to rotate this around here. So I'm just going to hold down the shift button and the middle mouse button here and just roll this around a little bit to where I can see all four of those corners. So I can see all four of these that I'm lighting up for you. Let's go ahead and put the radius in. This one has a radius of 25. And then I'm going to select these little four corners here. Okay. So once you're done with that, go ahead and hit the plus here. And then I'm going to create another one, right? This one is going to have a radius of 20. I'll hold down the shift button again and the middle mouse button just to rotate this. Or you can use the orbit command that's located here. And then I'm just kind of rotating this so you can get a better view on it. And I'll select these lines here. All right, let's go ahead and hit the OK button here. Last thing we need to do is go ahead and put some holes through this, right? So I'll use the hole command. And remember that these are going to be concentric circles. So I'm going to select, let's move this to the side. I'm going to select this face here. And then I'm going to select this edge. Now I'll go ahead and tell it the diameter, which is going to be 20. And go ahead and hit OK. Now I do have a plus here, and this is something that we're going to try together. Let's see what the tooltip says. Oh yeah, so we can apply and create another one, which is actually what we want in this case. So I'm just going to hit this little plus here. So it's done with that one. I'll go ahead and select this face here. And let's zoom in. I want to select that face to be the concentric reference. It's the exact same size. Let's go ahead and hit the OK button. And then we're going to take a look at this in an isometric view, right? So I'm just going to rotate this around until I get back to my isometric, and then I'll select there. Okay, so now you can see that this shape is actually done for us. We're all finished with it. Remember that we have to save this as a part. So I'm just going to hit the save icon here. And we'll call it part number 2. This is another part that we did before. That's fine. Yes, we will go ahead and replace that. And then let's go ahead and create a drawing, right? So we're going to click the new icon again. We're going to select the ANSI IDW. So I'll select here, hit the create button. It should appear with the title block on it. We're going to go ahead and get rid of that title block. And I think I'm going to put this one on an A size. No, let's make it a B size because I will put the isometric on this one as well. So here, I'm just going to go ahead and right click on that and delete that title block. I'm also going to go ahead and right click on this sheet 1. Let's go to edit sheet. And then we'll make it a B size. Go ahead and hit OK. Let's go with the base. So remember that it's going to automatically assume that you want to bring in the front view first. So that's why I kind of create this in the right shape that I need it to be. I'll go ahead and select here. That looks good to me. Come up and click here. Come here. And then I'll go ahead and put an isometric in the corner. Let's go ahead and hit OK. Now we can increase the size of these. You can see that I have plenty of room around these. Let's go ahead and increase the space on them a little bit. So I'm going to start off with the first view I put in. Let's go ahead and escape out of the command first. I'm going to select this view. Let's do a right click on it and go ahead and edit this base view. Nope. Looks like I'm actually trying to create it. I'm sorry on that one. Let me go ahead and double click it. And it's going to bring open this view. You can see that this view is set to 1 to 1. If we make it a little bit bigger, and we can drag these little handles on the sides as well. So we can make this a little bigger, and I can see that 2 to 1 is going to be quite big. So I'm just going to kind of put in a customized scale. Just going to tell it 1.5 looks good to me. And when I hit OK, all the rest of them should update in size, except for my isometric. All right. Let's jump over to the annotation tab, and then we're going to go ahead and put our center marks on here. So I'll do the center marks, select here and here. Go ahead and throw some of these bisecting center lines on here. We know that we have one that goes from here to here. And let's see, we should have another one that's running through here to here. Okay. Oh, we got one more. I'm going a little too... didn't pick the bisecting one. So we have one that's going from here to here as well. Alright, so now let's take a look at this one. Just going to drag this one down here. And that's all I'm going to do with these, just kind of customize them a little bit. And we have one more here. Okay, now that's all of our center lines, center marks, and things of that nature. We're ready to go ahead and put some dimensions on. So let's go ahead and do some dimensions. I'm just going to do a dimension from this line here going to here. That is 65. We can go ahead and dimension this cutout here. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw a couple of dimensions on here. And you can see this is one of those first things that I always kind of warn you about, and I was just clicking away on this one. But if you're doing your dimensions, and you can see that some of these are going to interfere. Remember with this one, the first place you pick is going to be what side that it puts the dimension on. So I wanted that to be at the top, so therefore make it a point to kind of pick that first point at the top. And then we're going to go ahead and put this diameter dimension on. So we'll go back to the dimension command. Select the diameter dimension, click here, and then let's throw a dimension from this line to this line. Okay, let's do the same thing along here at the top. So I'm just going to add a couple of diameter dimensions and the radius dimension. We'll go ahead and put a dimension locating here, dimension locating this location. And then finally doing some dimensions here. Remember, I'm going to select this side first and then this one. Let's go ahead and place that dimension. And then in between here, we'll place that dimension. Now remember, I don't worry about the style until I get to the end of this. Now this is enough actually to be able to create this part. I'm just going to throw some reference dimensions here along the side. You can see that this kind of gave me a diameter dimension, which is actually not what I want to happen. Let's see if there's a way I can kind of not do that. So I'm gonna go from this endpoint to here. I want that to just to say 50, and likewise if I go from that endpoint to here. Perfect. Okay, now these two will be reference dimensions, so I'll come back and I'll edit these. So I'm just going to double click on it. It should bring open here underneath the precision and tolerance. I'll just tell it that these are going to be reference dimensions. All I'm doing is double clicking on them, and it should bring you up in your dialog box here. And then underneath the precision, just going to make that a reference dimension. Okay, just trying to look over my drawing to see if there's anything else I forgot. I can put the overall that at 90, should be able to figure that out. And then there's a couple of more dimensions that kind of is optional. I can put a dimension from here to here just to specify where the center is. Really not relevant. We can kind of assume that the center of these are going to be located, you know, at the center of my part, but it's always a good practice to go ahead and do that just in case. Let's go ahead and put one more dimension on here. And then the last thing I'm going to do is going to adjust the style of these, right? So remember, I always do the style of it last. That's just, you know, something that I'm used to doing. Remember that this might take a little bit, so I'm just going to go to Manage, and then I'll hit the Style Editor, and then I'll give it a couple of minutes or so to, depending on how fast or slow your computer is, just to bring open the Style dialog box. Once it appears, remember that we're going to turn off the trailing zeros, right? So we don't want these to be displayed, which is the opposite of what AutoCAD does, right? The precision is set to 2 decimal places. If we do have decimal places, we shouldn't have anything in the alternate. Underneath the display, these are just how the dimensions look. We're not going to change anything here. Underneath the text is where I will change some stuff. So I have my dimensions go horizontal. If they are at an angle, go horizontal. And if they are vertical, I want them to go horizontal. Everything else in here should be pretty much standard. I'm not going to have to change any of the other things that I have located around here. All right. So once I hit save and close, you should see those dimensions automatically update, which they did. And we should be completed with this drawing, right? So thank you for hanging in there with me and watching another video. If you enjoy these, please consider liking, subscribing to the channel. And until next time, just keep drafting.